Hi everyone, welcome to Women Work Your Faith. My name is Sylvia Johnson, and today I am going to review the Sunday school lesson for Sunday, March the 13th. The title for this week's lesson is The Word Became Flesh. Our Bible basis is John, the first chapter, the 1st through the 14th verse. The Bible truth: Jesus has always been in existence. And the memory verse: and the Word was made flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory, the glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. And that is John, the first chapter, the 14th verse, King James Version. I was looking at the lesson and it piqued my interest for a couple of reasons. If you have been in the church for a while, you may have likely heard someone read from this scripture or reference this scripture in a message or teaching or something, and so it may be familiar to you. And it's definitely familiar for me because I've heard it multiple times. And the general basis that you hear when people are teaching this or preaching from this: Jesus has been there all the time. Jesus was God, and he became human for us, walked on the earth, and then some knew him, some did not know him, and it's just making the case of the eternal existence of Jesus Christ. The reason why it piqued my interest is because lately I have been really interested in the words, and not necessarily how we interpret things in our English, but what was the person actually saying when they wrote it. So while I understand the case that he was trying to make, and I'm talking about John, when he was trying to introduce Jesus through the gospel, I really wanted to look at it closer and see exactly how he did it. So I took from this lesson some words, and I looked up the words in English, and I looked them up in my exhaustive concordance, and I really examined, what it is that he was saying, and it helped me, I believe, understand this even better, and maybe it will help you. So starting from the beginning, John uses a word that we use often called word, right? And so in one of the first things I looked up is the word that he used for that. And our Sunday school lesson tells us that the word used is logos. And so John tells us in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And so in the beginning was what? And I think of word as what was spoken, right? What was said. And that is what it is. But also in this language, and we have slang and we have words with double meaning in our language, right? When he was referring to the word, he was not just talking about what was said, but what is implied, what is reasoning, what is the mental capability in the mind, right? So in the beginning, God's speech, his thoughts, his wisdom, his reasoning was there, okay? And it was with him and it was him. And so these things were all one great entity, and they were all there in the beginning. And so he tells us about the presence of this word and the work of this word, right? And so this word was there and it was present with God, but it did things. And so what did it do? Well, it created everything, right? So through his wisdom and his reasoning and his speech, he created all of the universe. And so that word didn't just come forth as sound, it came forth as action. And it says, without him, the word, there was not anything made that was made. Without him, there was nothing, okay? And everything that exists came through him, came through what was spoken, came through God's wisdom and his thought and how he spoke it into creation. And so we know when we go back to Genesis that he says, and he said, let there be, and then he said that it was good, right? And so there was that word in action, not just the speech, but the knowledge and the wisdom of those things coming forth out of the reasoning of God into existence. And so it says, in him was life. And I thought, I know what life is. I know what life is. I'm gonna look it up anyway. And so there are multiple examples of, multiple meanings for life in the Greek, right? According to the concordance. And so there is your spirit and your soul, and then there is the vitality, the actual existence and animation of living, okay? And so it says, in him was life, and the life was the light of men. I know what light is. Yeah, I think I know what light is. You know what? I'm gonna look it up. The definition that I looked up was to make shine or make manifest, especially by rays. And of course, yes, I did go and look up manifest. I know what manifest means, but I had to look it up. And so in him was life, and the life was the light of men. When I look at light, it says to make manifest, especially by rays or by shining, by illuminating it. And so manifest meaning to make understood or perceived, or to make it evident. And so that light became, that life became the light of men. It means through him, it was made known, it was shown, it was illuminated, okay, made evident now through that word. So in your Sunday school lesson, it talks about the two definitions, the two meanings of comprehended. And then and comprehended is in the King James Version, but a lot of the other versions will tell you that the darkness could not overcome it. And so your lesson tells you that there's two meanings. It could mean that those who were not illuminated, right? Those who did not see what was made the focus and to shine were in darkness. And because they were in darkness, they couldn't understand what was now made evident. The other side that we look at is the darkness could not overtake it. So even though there was darkness, that light that came through the word was so powerful that what the darkness was doing in the earth could not overrun it. And so sometimes you'll have a little light and it'll be so dark that you don't notice the light at all. What he's saying is that light was so powerful, there was nothing that darkness could do to overtake it. It was still bright, shining. So the definitions that I looked up for darkness, right? Dimness or obscurity. And in obscurity I looked up and it said shrouded or hidden by dark. Okay? So that obscure, that haze, that and if you think of dim and you're comparing it to the light, which was made manifest, right? Made evident and focused. When something is in the dim and obscure, you can't really see it clearly. You can't really tell what that is. It might be this, and it might be something else. So this unknown, fogginess, unclearness was shown through by the light. And if you think about the book of Genesis, when the Lord came in the beginning and created the heavens and earth, there was, if nothing else, it was obscure, right? It was unclear. It was this chaotic, unknown space that God was moving in and creating things through his word. And this isn't necessarily what's in there, but let's use another example. Our lives before Christ, right? Unknown, obscure. And it's not that we were all suffering and miserable, but the certainty and the clarity that he brought right? When he shined on us, the same way that God's Spirit moved over the deep, and all of a sudden he created these things just by speaking, right? This text that he's using creates these images of what is happening through the existence of Jesus Christ and what he has done in the eternity that he has existed. The same way that this word spoke and reasoned and created through wisdom the existence of the universe, he is shining and speaking and making evident, like he made evident the seas and the tree and the mountains and separated the land and the moon and the sun. He now makes evident the light for us. Was that a lot? I'm sorry. Moving on. John, the apostle, introduces us to John the Baptist. And he tells us that this person came and he was sent from God, and he was a witness to who Jesus was. And typically when you have a witness, it's someone who has seen or experienced something firsthand. But John hadn't seen or experienced Jesus yet. He was just coming as sent by God. So John the Baptist was not the light nor the word that John the Apostle is introducing us to. He is letting us know that John the Baptist was a witness who was here sent by God to give testimony about this light that was coming. And it says that light was the true light that lighteth every man that cometh into the world. And I looked up that lighteth because I started to make an assumption, and then I thought, look it up, Sylvia. You know, let's make sure that you're assuming correct. And so the definition I had is to make, to see, illuminate, to bring or give light, or to enlighten. The last few verses talk about Jesus's experience here on earth with us and what his living here with us did for us people. And so it says he came into this world, and if you look at the text, he came into the world that he created and was not identified as who he was. So he was here walking in existence with his creations, okay? The word became flesh and existed on earth with us, and the world did not know him. We did not know that word was walking with us. He was not received by his own, right? And so he was here as a Jew, and we know that Jesus was rejected and he was crucified. But those who do receive him, and this is where we see what his being here does for us and did back then and continues to do. And so how do we become the sons of God? Well, we are born again. And so just like you're born into your family, and I'm the daughter of Ann and Walter, okay? When you are born again into this family, I become the daughter of God. Not through the blood, not through the flesh. It is not a physical birth that I go through. It is through the will of God that I am received by him as his child. And so Jesus coming and walking on earth with us, living and dying for us, when we believe on him, we are able to become a part of that family. So our lesson ends at this 14th verse, which is our memory verse, where it tells us that the word became flesh and we beheld his glory. And it wasn't his glory, but the glory of the Father, full of grace and truth. And so that word that he describes, that speech, that reasoning, that full mental capacity of the mind of God, came and wrapped itself in flesh and was birthed here on earth. And he's saying we saw his glory. And that's how he introduces the readers of the gospel to Jesus and who he was. So for me reading this time, because I've read it multiple times, and actually taking the time to dig into the words and pick apart their meaning, it really emphasized to me the significance of who Jesus was. When I look at the words and I realize the magnitude and the understanding that John is trying to convey to us, that this was not something that was small. He was everything. And he became something small and insignificant and existed in a world that he created and was rejected in a world that he created, was unidentified in a world that he created so that that world could know him. And that is a beautiful thing. And I don't take it lightly, and I hope you won't either. So how have you been enlightened? How have you been made to shine or illuminated? What has he made evident in your life? All of those things should be what we share with others. So that this world is not a world that does not know him anymore. The way he came and made that light to shine, and John has already told us that light won't be overtaken by darkness. So we don't have to worry about the light being ignored or overlooked. There are those who want to see it and who will see it and who will also be illuminated and see this thing be made evident. So we should share that with them. You know, this lesson would have made an awesome discussion topic. But, you know, hey, today I'm flying solo. However, if you enjoyed this video, I would recommend that you check out this video where Kanisha and I talk about who Jesus is. And I referenced that earlier when I was talking about Jesus talking to the disciples. Or you can check out our most recent video over here. I hope that you all will join our family and support our ministry. Leave me a comment or a question down below and I will get right back with you. Thank you. I'll see you next time. God bless.